Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alright, so today I'm going to be smoking and reviewing the Chunghwa Soft Pack Cigarettes from Japan, which were made in China by the Shanghai Tobacco Group Co. Ltd., a subsidiary of China Tobacco, and which contain 12 milligrams of tar and 1.1 milligrams of nicotine, making these a definitive full-flavored pack of cigarettes. Now, before we go any further into the video, there is one very interesting thing that I want to cover about this pack of cigarettes right here, and that's the fact that it costs almost double what the Chunghwa hard pack cigarettes cost in Japan. Within the Japanese market, there are two varieties of Chunghwas for sale. There's the soft pack of cigarettes and the hard pack of cigarettes. These cost almost double what the hard pack costs, which is just kind of wild to my American mind, as in the United States, soft packs of cigarettes cost the same amount as hard packs of cigarettes as long as it's the same variety. So for a soft pack of cigarettes to literally cost almost double what the hard pack costs is kind of wild. I'm hoping, due to the increased price that this pack has, that it will be a higher quality and just better smoking experience in general. But whether that is actually going to be the case or not is to be determined, and that is one of the things that I want to find out during this video today. But what is Chunghwa as a brand? Well, Chunghwa is a Chinese high-end luxury cigarette brand that was first introduced in 1951, but which did not find major sales success until the 1990s. And ever since then, Chunghwa has been, without a doubt, a very iconic luxury brand of Chinese cigarettes. And today, they are, without a doubt, more popular than ever before, being seen by some as a status symbol, and they are today available not just in, well, China, but also in Japan and within many duty-free stores around the world. Chunghwa is, in my opinion at least, one of, if not the most iconic Chinese brands of cigarettes today, and their influence on the Chinese tobacco market cannot be understated. I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and quickly cover the packaging of the pack I have with me today. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and get the cellophane all off. I'm going to get the pack all opened up, and I'm going to get one of the cigarettes out and let you guys know just what the cigarettes look like, what they feel like, and what the quality of them is like, and of course what they smell like as well. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and get one of these cigarettes all lit up, and we're going to find out just how the Chunghwa Soft Pack cigarettes from Japan actually are for the very first time. And once I'm done smoking, once I've had my fill of nicotine, I'm going to let you guys know what my final thoughts on this pack are, and I'm going to give it a rating as well. But first off, as said, we've got to start with the packaging, which in my opinion is a pretty solid look. Of course, we can see that this is a soft pack of cigarettes, as to be expected from the title of this video. And we can see it is, in my opinion, a pretty elegant high-end look. Now, of course, since this is a pack of Chunghwas from the Japanese market, we do see a Japanese warning label down here with white text on the red background of the packaging. One of the things I really like about Japanese warning labels is that it allows the pack to maintain the same background color through the, well, warning label as well. So we have a nice continuous red design all the way to the bottom, but we do still have the warning label right here, and so it just gives it a better look than if we had to have a flat like yellow or white or black sort of background right here kind of thing. This definitely looks a lot better than what this pack would look like with some worse warning label on it, that is for sure. This warning label itself is just talking about how cigarette smoking is bad and unhealthy and everything like that kind of thing. Nothing too crazy, pretty much just the basic stuff, I'll acknowledge. Let's go ahead and start off with the real design on this pack, though, with the very top of the packaging up here. We can see we get two gold lines, which are kind of metallic, kind of holographic, going across the top of the packaging up here on that really nice, deep, rich red background. We can just see those stretching all the way across just like that. And those lines actually go all the way around the packaging, which is something that I do much appreciate. But in the middle of those lines, kind of going over them, we can see that there's a blue label or sticker right here. And this is not part of the design of the packaging per se. It's actually just part of the structural integrity and get more jumbled up. It's part of the structural integrity. I'm trying to pronounce these words correctly. This blue sticker right here is part of the structural integrity of the packaging because this is a soft pack of cigarettes. And due to the fact that this is a soft pack of cigarettes, it needs a sticker going across the top to kind of hold everything together, and that's what this is. Of course, there is a little bit of a design on it, and we can see we've got a really nice sort of like dark blue design on that light blue sticker, and we've just got kind of like a border going around just right there. We've got, I'm not exactly sure what the design is, but there's like some little cups over there and stuff like that kind of thing, and just like a nice chain design. And in Chinese text right here, it just says made by the Shanghai Tobacco Group Co. Ltd. just right there. And that is what it says on this blue design. And as we continue cover the packaging, I will cover more of this sticker, but that's all we see on the front of it. And below that, we can see the Chunghwa logo itself right here. Just says Chunghwa right there, which Chunghwa is also another word for China, which is pretty interesting. So when you stick this text into Google Translate, it actually just says China right there, even though it actually means Chunghwa. And we can see that is, I would have to say, white text with a metallic gold border going all the way around it, which gives the white on the inside a kind of almost yellowed look from a distance. And overall, this is a very nice, elegant design in my personal opinion. Nothing too crazy by any means, but just a nice design nonetheless. And then below that in English, it just says Chunghwa right there in a gold holographic metallic look, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. Below that, we get a white line and then that Japanese warning label. But below the warning label, we get another gold line right here. Once again, metallic holographic. This one actually has some lines on it. I don't know if those are really popping up on camera, but they are indeed there. And those lines, while they don't stretch all the way through the gold line itself, they are there. And this sort of ribbon going around the bottom stretches all the way around the packaging once again, and that's something I do like about this packaging. It's simple, it's elegant, but it's still got a design that stretches all the way around the design or the packaging itself. And I really appreciate that. I really do appreciate that in all honesty, and that's pretty much all there is to the front of this packaging. Without further ado, let's go ahead and cover the back of the packaging, which is just a little bit different. Once again, we can see a warning label right here, a little bit of a different warning label, just talking about how you can't buy cigarettes in Japan if you're under 20, and how cigarettes can cause COPD and stuff like that kind of thing. We get the two gold ribbon areas on the bottom and on the top right there, and we get the soft pack of cigarettes, sort of like sticker to hold everything together, once again with the same design that we saw on the front of the packaging. But when it comes to the actual design in the middle right here, it is a little bit different. We get a little statue design right here, and it's got like little wings and a little topper and everything like that kind of thing. From what I know, and do correct me if I'm wrong, this is a hubao. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I might not be, but from what I know, this is a hubao. And we can see the design itself is made up of, I would have to say, white, black, and a little bit of a sort of goldish yellow. Actually, I would just say gold in general, because there is a little bit of a reflectiveness to some of those areas. And overall, this design itself, it looks really nice in my opinion, and it is surprisingly detailed for as small of a design as it is. I realize the detail might not be fully coming across on camera, but it is there. But stretching across the foreground of this statue in cursive, it just says Chunghwa right there in a reflective holographic gold text once again. And then below this design, and wait, I'm just realizing wait, hold up. This entire design right here, I thought it was just the gold that was like holographic reflective, but actually it's just the entire design itself. Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. But below this design in black text, it just says produced by Shanghai Cigarette Factory, Shanghai Tobacco Group Co. Ltd. And yeah, that's really all that's going on with the bottom, or not bottom, with the back of this packaging. I'm getting my words a little bit jumbled up. I do think I might need a little bit of nicotine, so I am very excited to, well, get this pack opened up once we cover the packaging. I do suppose without further ado though, let's go ahead and cover this side of the pack. We can see the barcode right here in black. There is a blue oval right there as well, which just says origination, or I'm getting my words all jumbled up once again. It just says origin, the People's Republic of China, and we can see a design of China, of course, right there. And then under that, it just says number 0000151. I don't know exactly what that number means, but that is quite interesting. And then to the side of that, it just says 20 right there. And that's just letting us know how many cigarettes are in this pack. And of course, this is a pack of 20. Moving on to the other side, we can see it just says that these are the king size Chunghwa Soft Pack Cigarettes. And then below that, it just says that, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. It basically just says that depending on how much you smoke, that you'll get a possibly different amount of nicotine than what the actual nicotine and tar says you're gonna get on the packaging. Basically what I'm trying to say is that right here, it says that you get 12 milligrams of nicotine and 1.1 milligrams of tar. And right here, it's basically just saying that, hey, if you only take one hit of this cigarette, you're only going to get one hit's worth of, well, tar and nicotine and stuff like that. Just because you take one hit doesn't mean you're going to immediately get the 12 milligrams of tar and 1.1 milligram of nicotine. But above this design right here, we can see it just tells us how to throw away the packaging in Japanese, and this is in Japanese as well. And then above this in Chinese, it just says for export only right there. On the bottom of the pack, it just says Chunghwa right there in white text on that red background. And on the top of the packaging, we can see, well, it is indeed a soft pack of cigarettes. Silver on this side with the blue sticker in the middle right there. And we get a little bit of a, I would have to say, circle in a square design. I'm not exactly sure if that makes any sense, but we have these two lines going up here. We have some other lines going across, and then there's a circle in the center of those with some sort of, I would have to say, squiggly lines, almost looking like a sort of flower design to some extent, in my personal opinion. And in the very center of that, there is some text that just kind of stretches around. It just says Shanghai Tobacco Group Co. Ltd. And then in the center of that, we get the Hubao design with the Chunghwa text in cursive once again, overall making for a very nice, intricate design for the sticker on this packaging. And there is one other thing to mention about this before we go any further into the video, because I was about to rip off the cellophane real quick, but then I noticed there's something below the cellophane. Below the cellophane on the silver itself, we can see that there's a little design going on with some sort of holographic characters, and it just says Chunghwa over and over and over again. I don't know if that's really showing up very well, but we can see them right there. I think that's really proper lighting. We can kind of see them, and it just says Chunghwa in Chinese over and over and over again in the same sort of stylization that we saw on the front of the packaging right here, which is a really nice aspect. I gotta admit, I have never seen an actual like printed design on the silver foil of a soft pack before, so that's something I really like to see. And yeah, that's pretty much all I think I wanted to say about this packaging. Overall, am I a fan of this packaging? Yes, I certainly am. Am I a fan of the look of this packaging, the design of this packaging, and overall just a fan of this packaging? As said, yes, I am. I will acknowledge. And overall, I do think that this is a very nice, elegant piece of packaging that has a very different style than what I'm used to as an American. I do suppose without further ado, I should probably go ahead and get the cellophane off, go ahead and see if I can get the bottom portion off as well, just like that. And I'm gonna go and put my trash in my backpack, which is next to me, because I wanna make sure I'm not littering or anything like that. And now that I have done that, let's just go ahead and take a look at the quality of this packaging real quick. The quality seems to be very good, no big issues at all. On the sort of area right here where it all kind of sticks together, we can see there's just a little bit of a rise and then a fall, but nothing too big of a deal. And overall, this is of equivalent quality as any other soft pack of cigarettes I've ever tried. Texture-wise, though, a lot of soft packs of cigarettes just feel like they're sort of printed paperboard kind of thing, whereas this feels, I would have to say, it feels a little bit thicker, even though I don't think it really is, and it just feels a little bit higher quality than other soft packs of cigarettes I've felt before, and it has a very sort of glossy sort of texture to it, I would say. It's got like a sort of glossy, sort of just higher quality feeling to it kind of thing, and it feels really nice. And well, for the price I paid for this pack, I would hope that it would feel higher quality under the fingers, and it certainly does. Yeah, gotta admit, overall, pretty nice texture. Just feels like a thicker paper and just has a really nice sort of glossy sort of feeling to it. And there's really no texture change going on. There's no embossment on this soft pack or anything like that. But overall, it feels, I gotta admit, under my hand, higher quality than just about any other soft pack of cigarettes I have ever given a go to. Frankly put, no complaints on my behalf about that. And we can see on the top of the packaging, we get that Chunghwa text, and we can see it a little bit better now that the cellophane is off, and we can see that that is indeed a holographic look to some extent. I really do like that. Overall, quality of the packaging is good. Feeling of the quality is good as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this pack all opened up, and let's go ahead and get one of the cigarettes out and take a look at what the cigarettes inside this pack actually look like, what they feel like, and what the quality of them is like. Just trying to get this open as neatly as possible, as I don't want to unnecessarily damage this beautiful packaging. So let's go ahead, see if I can do that. I did damage the sticker in the middle just a little bit, but it is what it is. There ain't nothing I can do about it. And let's see, just like that, and just like that. All perfect, all opened up now. Not too much of a smell coming through at this moment in time, but I figure that's probably because I just opened the pack up, just putting my trash in my backpack once again, and I'm just real quick gonna go ahead and take a sip of water as I'm feeling like I'm needing one. It's a little bit cold today, and definitely my nose and throat are not appreciating it. Well, now that I've had a sip of water, and now that I'm feeling just a little bit better, I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and get one of these cigarettes out now, shouldn't I? So let's do exactly that. And there we go. There is the first cigarette out of my pack. I'm gonna go ahead and smell this real quick. And overall, I gotta admit, I'm getting somewhat of a slightly papery, slightly sweet, citrusy, sort of honey, lemon, sort of plum smell, I would say. I would have to say, and now that I've had this cigarette out for just a moment, the papery sort of smell has really gone away. I really do think the papery smell that this cigarette had when I immediately got it out of the packaging was really just from the packaging. And now that this is out of the packaging and has been out of the packaging for a moment, well, it's no longer as papery smelling because it's not in the packaging anymore. And now the true smell of the tobacco is really coming through. But yeah, I would have to say I am smell-wise getting that of a, I would have to say, yeah, sort of citrusy, slightly sweet, sort of honey, slightly lemon, slightly plum sort of smell, I would say. Now, I've had a Chunghwa cigarette before. I, to some extent, know what they smell like and know what they taste like, so I might just be imagining the plum flavor, or not flavor, but smell, in all honesty. But there is, without a doubt, a lemony, citrusy sort of lemon scent in there, and I am very confident in saying that I can smell that plum as well. Although, since I don't eat plums, if I didn't know that these already tasted and smelled like plum, I don't think I would be able to nail down what that scent actually is. But yeah, overall, a really nice smell from this cigarette. And now that it's been out of the packaging for a minute or two now, the paper smell has very much dissipated to a pretty full degree. Overall, Yeah, cigarette smells pretty good in my personal opinion. Without further ado, let's go ahead and cover the look of this cigarette. We can see we get a very nice sort of light cork style filter, and the light areas of the cork style filter are still quite brown. So this is, I would have to say, more of a light, yet at the same time, differently styled cork style filter from what I'm used to seeing. I mean, like, a lot of times in the United States, we get cork style filters, but the sort of light areas of the cork style filters are much lighter than what we're seeing here. So this is pretty interesting in my personal opinion. And then below that cork style filter, we get a white cigarette paper with horizontal lines going all the way across. And as the design on the cigarette itself, we get a multicolored sort of design with some numbers down here in red. We can see, as far as the design goes, in red it just says Chunghwa right there on either side of the green design in the center, but it just says Chunghwa right there in red in Chinese. And then we get this green design in the center, and I'm not exactly sure what that, well, no, I do know what that is. It is a hubao, just like we saw on the back of the packaging. I just got a little bit confused for a second because right below the top of the hubao, it just says Chunghwa right there in English in a cursive text, just like that. And then below that, we have the base of the hubao. The ink itself is a little bit light. It's not super intense by any means, but it's certainly dark enough for me to see. The detailing of the design on the cigarette is honestly quite impressive. It's something that you don't really see a lot on cigarettes from the United States, so that's something I really do appreciate. And overall, yeah, I quite like the design that is towards the filter on this cigarette. As said, just says Chunghwa right there. We get the hubao design, and then just says Chunghwa once again in English. But below this design itself, we get a numbered text in red. I'm not exactly sure what that is supposed to mean. It just says 230 or 230 just right there in red. Not exactly sure what that means, but I'm sure it means something. Let me know in the comments below what that means if y'all know, because I do not know what that means. And yeah, overall, that's the look of this cigarette itself. Quality-wise, this cigarette is perfectly fine. Blend-wise, I would have to say we get a medium but rich blend of tobacco. Yeah, I would have to say that's a medium to rich blend of tobacco, or just a medium rich blend of tobacco. The tobacco itself has almost sort of a rich sort of golden hue to it, even though it is darker brown than not, which is something that I do really like. There are some darker aspects, there are some lighter aspects, but overall I would have to say that this is more of a medium blend of tobacco than not, in my personal opinion. Are there any lines of perforation on the filter? Not that I am seeing, and I cannot remember if the other packs of Chunghwas I've tried in the past from the United States and from Japan. I've tried the hard pack of Chunghwas from Japan previously. I cannot remember if those had lines of perforation on the filters of those cigarettes, but this one I'm quite confident in saying does not. And yeah, overall, that is the look of the cigarette, the quality of the cigarette, the smell of the cigarette, and anything else that I might be interested in figuring out before I actually go ahead and get this lit up. So, I do suppose, without further ado, it is actually time for me to go ahead and get this cigarette right here all lit up, and I do suppose it is time to find out just how the Chunghwa Soft Pack Cigarettes from Japan, but made in China, actually are. I do suppose, without further ado, should first off probably get my lighter out of my pocket now, shouldn't I? So now that I have my Arizona Tea branded Bic lighter out of my pocket, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this cigarette right here all lit up, and let's go ahead and get to smoking. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? And with this first cigarette, I'm pretty much just going to try to think, okay, what's the taste like? What's the body like? What's the airflow like? How's it smoke in general? What's the quality like? And what's the roughness, smoothness like, and everything like that kind of thing? Taste-wise, overall, definitely much more mild than not initially. Not a intense taste at the very beginning of the cigarette by any means, and just initially I'm very much getting the impression that this is a maybe not slow burning cigarette, but the taste itself is a slow burn taste that you don't initially notice. You kind of have to smoke a little bit more to really notice what the flavor is like, but right off the bat I am getting a, I would have to say, slightly sweet sort of honey-like flavor, but it's extremely mild. Body-wise, the body is certainly not the biggest by any means. It's nothing crazy size by any means, but it is quite dense due to the fact that there is no perforation on the filter of this cigarette. Airflow-wise, I would have to say the airflow for this cigarette is perfectly fine. Nothing particularly crazy by any means, certainly not too heavy, and maybe, if anything, it's a little bit on the lighter side in my personal opinion. I definitely do think you could pack these cigarettes if you absolutely wanted to, without a doubt. And as I'm continuing to smoke, as I'm continuing to take puffs, the taste, the flavor is definitely becoming more intense, more prevalent. Roughness and smoothness-wise, I would definitely say these have a little bit of a roughness to them. It's not insane by any means, and I would say overall roughness and smoothness-wise, these are about a, I would say roughness and smoothness-wise, these are around about like a 6 to 7 out of 10. Roughness, smoothness-wise, in my personal opinion. Probably more like a 7. And strength-wise, I'm definitely feeling a buzz. These are definitely a definitive full-flavored cigarette without a doubt. And I would say strength-wise, they're like a 7 to 8 out of 10, but more like an 8 in my personal opinion. Body, once again, not the biggest, but it definitely has gotten bigger as we're getting towards the end of this cigarette. And one important thing to mention is that these cigarettes burn quite quickly. That's been my experience with Chunghwa cigarettes in the past, and that's, well, my experience with these cigarettes today as well. They are burning quite quickly, although not too quickly by any means, but quickly nonetheless. A little bit quicker than I'm used to, as cigarettes that I generally smoke, like the American Spirit Blacks, probably burn for double the time, if not a little bit over double the time, as this cigarette does. And definitely as I'm smoking, the taste becomes more and more and more prevalent. And I can say without a doubt, with certainty, that the soft pack of Chunghwas from Japan are significantly higher quality than the hard pack of Chunghwas from Japan. The hard pack of Chunghwas from Japan, now it's been a year or two since I last tried them, but, excuse me, I just had a little bit of a burp. Those cigarettes, in my opinion, I got a little bit of a low quality, just a little bit of a chemical taste from them kind of thing. They weren't the highest quality cigarettes I've ever had by any means, whereas these, on the other hand, are a legitimate, true, very nice, very high quality pack of cigarettes. And I would actually go as far to say that these are probably higher quality than the American pack of Chunghwas that I've had in the past as well, although not as significant of a margin as with the hard pack of Chunghwas from Japan. But I can say for sure that the increased price definitely does give you a better, higher quality smoking experience without a doubt. And that is something that I am happy to report, because if these didn't, I would be maybe just a little bit disappointed, because then it would just be the same pack of cigarettes but cost almost double. Thankfully, it is a different pack of cigarettes that looks like it's the same pack of cigarettes, but it's not the same pack of cigarettes. Very interesting, and definitely unique to me as an American, I will admit. Is there anything else I wanted to mention about these cigarettes before I go ahead and get another one lit up, and before I go ahead and grab a thumbnail? Taste-wise, the taste, as said, started becoming more and more intense the more I smoked, and it really started coming across as a sort of sweet, citrusy, honey, lemon sort of flavor. Definitely a little bit of burley in there, definitely a decent amount of Virginia tobacco as well, if I had to hazard a guess, and a little bit of a plum-like flavor in there as well. Overall, a very nice, high-quality flavor, no sort of paper taste going on, no sort of chemical taste or anything like that kind of thing. A very high-quality flavor, and one that has not an insane amount of depth to it, but definitely enough to keep you interested, and definitely a really nice amount of depth nonetheless. I am pretty buzzed right now, though, I'll acknowledge, but nonetheless, I think it's time for me to take another sip of water, and I think it's time for me to have another one of these Chunghwa Soft Pack Cigarettes from Japan. And to also grab a thumbnail. So I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and grab my lighter out of my pocket once again, and I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and get another one of these cigarettes all out and get back to smoking, and use this cigarette as a sort of cigarette to figure out what the true taste of the Chunghwa Soft Pack Cigarettes from Japan, but made in China, is actually like. What's the taste of these cigarettes actually like? Well, let's go ahead and find that out with this cigarette. I've already determined what the body is like, what the airflow is like, what the draw is like. Wait, I didn't actually cover what the draw is like. I'll have to cover that as well. I covered airflow, but not draw. Yeah, I cannot believe I completely forgot draw. And then I've already covered what the roughness and smoothness is like as well. So yeah, taste and draw. That's what we're gonna be trying to figure out during this video, Well, that is what we're trying to figure out during this video. I think I need a little bit more nicotine. I'm getting my words all jumbled up. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get back to smoking. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying. Hopefully one of those will do as a thumbnail. I just got a little bit of smoke in my eye. That was not particularly pleasant, I will acknowledge. I can say for sure, though, the quality is consistent throughout the cigarettes, and I can say for sure that the way these cigarettes smoke is consistent as well, as what I'm experiencing from this one is consistent with the first cigarette I had just a little bit ago. Draw-wise, I would have to say that these are that of a medium draw, in my personal opinion. The filter itself is certainly not the smallest, and due to the fact that there is no airflow on the filter, we have no sort of constrictedness going on or anything like that kind of thing. And due to the, I would have to say, medium to light airflow from these cigarettes, we get overall a medium draw with the addition of the filter. So yeah, I would have to say body is not the biggest, but very reasonably sized and quite dense. I would have to say the draw itself is that of a medium draw, with the airflow being that of a medium to light airflow. Roughness and smoothness wise, I would have to say these are like a 6 to 7 out of 10, probably more like a 7 though. And strength wise, I would have to say these are more like a 7 to 8 out of 10. Right about in the middle, probably like a 7.5 out of 10 strength wise. Definitely not the strongest cigarettes I've ever had, but they are getting me a buzz without a doubt. What's the actual taste of these cigarettes actually like though? I think I might need another one to really truly determine that. Well, the taste is really nice. I could just say that. The taste is super nice. The taste itself, oh man, it's that of a, oh man, there's I know I said with the first cigarette that there's depth, but it's not like an insane amount of depth. But the more I smoke, the more I go, actually, there kind of is a good amount of depth. There really is a good amount of depth to the flavor of these cigarettes right here. And the more I smoke, like when I was first smoking the first cigarette, the main flavor I really noticed was that sort of citrusy lemon, sort of fruity taste, I would say. And that's very much still what I'm getting, but that fruity aspect of the flavor has come on to a very large degree. It's come on to a very large degree. Okay, yeah. I think I will need another one. I am honestly buzzed enough where I don't need another one. Like, if I was just smoking, not trying to figure out what the true taste of these cigarettes were, I'd probably just call it their kind of thing, because I'm pretty buzzed right now. But I definitely need another one to, like, figure out the true taste of what these cigarettes is actually like. They're just burning a little bit quickly for me, kind of thing. I'll admit that's definitely one of my main things about Chunghwas. I realize that might be expected or standard in China. However, I'm used to cigarettes just burning a little bit longer than what the Chunghwas burn for, and so it's definitely catching me a little bit off guard, and I'm smoking a little bit quickly, a little bit more quickly than I really realize I am, in all honesty, and I'm kind of overestimating how long the cigarettes are actually going to burn for. My nose is running just a little bit, so I'm gonna get off camera for a minute and just wipe my nose real quick. Ignore that. Editor, make sure to edit that portion out of the video. I say like I don't edit my own videos. But, let's go ahead, get another one of the cigarettes out of this pack, and let's go ahead and get my lighter out of my pocket once again, and let's get back to smoking and really try to determine what the true taste of these cigarettes is actually like. Excuse me, just had to burp real quick before I actually got my cigarette lit up, though. It wouldn't have been very good to burp while I'm trying to light my cigarette up. That would have been horrible, frankly put. But in my opinion, this is, and I don't say this very often, this is a cigarette that has a taste that is best appreciated when chain smoked. Because the first cigarette, you might not notice the full taste, but the second cigarette, you will. And so when you smoke more than one of these cigarettes, you really get the full experience, per se. But without that second cigarette, I don't think the full experience is really going to be apparent. I don't know if that's ever something I've really said before, where I'm like, this cigarette is best experienced when chain smoked, but honestly, it is, which is kind of odd for me to say. So overall, flavor-wise, there's definitely sweetness, there's definitely a little bit of sour, sort of slightly bitter flavor coming through, and then there's definitely a little bit of a, I would have to say, citrusy flavor as well. And when I say sour, bitter flavor, sometimes when I'm referring to that in cigarette reviews and stuff like that, I'm talking about, oh man, there's a sour, bitter flavor coming from the paper. That's not at all the case with this cigarette. The sour, sort of slightly bitter flavor is actually coming from the tobacco itself, and it's coming from that sort of lemon-like profile of the flavor. I would say the flavor of this cigarette is that of a mild when you smoke the first cigarette, but intense when you smoke the second cigarette, and even more intense when you smoke the third cigarette. And I would definitely have to say the blend of this cigarette, there's a lot of Virginia tobacco in there. I said earlier that I felt like there was a blend of burley and Virginia tobacco. I'm not so sure if there's any burley tobacco in there anymore. It's so Virginia heavy that I really do feel like the vast majority of the tobacco in this pack of cigarettes that I've got right here is Virginia tobacco. It's got a very Virginia tobacco taste to it. And I would say the flavor itself, it's that of a, sweet, citrusy, slightly sour, bitter flavor with, up at the very top, a sort of sweet, honey-like, citrusy, fruity, slightly sour, slightly bitter, lemon flavor, and then underneath that there is a sweet, fruity, sort of plum-like flavor, I would say. And all of that is kind of encompassed by that sort of like sweet honey flavor that I mentioned before. Yeah, these are very much like, I would have to say, like honey, lemon, plum sort of tasting cigarettes, in my opinion. And that's very much what the flavor is like. I feel like there's more I could say than just that. I feel like, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a powdered sugar flavor, which is something I have experienced from a Virginia blend pipe tobacco before, if I remember correctly. So that could very well be in there as well, but it might just be my imagination, and it could just be caused by the honey flavor being so sweet. And one other thing that really makes me think that this is a Virginia tobacco heavy blend cigarette is the fact that when you're smoking a little bit quickly and the cigarette gets a little bit hot, you start getting a little bit of tongue bite, which is not something that happens a lot with cigarettes from the United States, but is something that happens a lot with Virginia heavy cigarettes and with Virginia pipe tobacco, whether it be Virginia Perique or just straight Virginia pipe tobacco. Very interesting, very interesting. Yeah, okay. And there really is no paper taste or chemical taste or any sort of off-putting taste at all. These are, without a doubt, the highest quality Chunghwas I have tried so far, and I really like them. I really like them. They are a quality smoke, without a doubt. And they are one that I do like quite a bit. Yeah. Okay. So, flavor-wise, to summarize it once and for all, I would have to say the flavor is that of a sweet, citrusy, slightly sour, bitter, fruity flavor with undertones of, I would have to say, the most prominent overtone of the flavor undertones themselves is that of a sweet, excuse me, just had a little bit of a burp. The most prominent flavor is that of a sweet, honey-like, sort of citrusy, slightly sour, slightly bitter lemon flavor with a little bit of, I feel like, oh man, let me restart that. I feel like I'm not quite saying it properly. So the flavor, in my opinion, is that of the most prominent true flavor of these cigarettes is that of a, I would say, honey-like sweet, slightly powdered sugar, citrusy, fruity, lemon-like flavor that has a little bit of a sour and sort of like bitter, fruity taste to it. And then under all of that, there's more of a fruity taste, and I feel like that's kind of a plum flavor. and it's got sort of a, like, I don't want to say dark fruit, but also not like light fruit. It's kind of like a medium sort of like color fruit flavor to it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense in my head. Yeah, and that's really what the flavor of the Chunghwa Soft Pack Cigarettes from the Japanese market is actually like. That's what the flavor of this pack of cigarettes right here is actually like. Yeah. Overall, I gotta admit, very high quality cigarettes, really nice taste, and the more I smoked, the more undertones I noticed, which is something I really, really, really like. That's my personal preference when it comes to cigarettes, when it comes to tobacco products. I love tobacco products where I notice more and more and more and more about the flavor as I continue smoking, and that's exactly what I got from this pack of cigarettes right here. Truly, I have no complaints on my behalf, and overall, my final thoughts on this pack of Chunghwas is that they're really good. And they had better be, because they cost almost double the amount of the hard-packed Chunghwas from the Japanese market. Is that up price worth the price? To experience them, for sure. But I could not have them as a daily cigarette in Japan. If I was in Japan, when compared to the price of other cigarettes in Japan, I mean, like 7 Stars highlights in Japan are like 600 yen for a pack of 20. These are like 1100 yen for a pack of 20 kind of thing. Due to the major increase in price, I couldn't warrant smoking them on a routine daily basis. However, as a special treat every once in a while to have an especially unique and good tasting and high quality cigarette, I could absolutely warrant these. And if you're in Japan and you're just looking to try a pack of Chunghwas for the first time, I would have to say, don't go for the hard pack. Do not go for the hard pack. Splurge and go for the soft pack without a doubt, absolutely for sure. If you still want to try the hard pack, try them after you try the soft pack. But yeah, overall, really solid cigarettes with a lot of depth, really high quality, a bit too pricey for me to want to smoke on a daily basis, I'll admit, but really solid cigarettes nonetheless, and a pack of cigarettes that I am absolutely going to be enjoying smoking in the future. I am absolutely going to enjoy smoking the rest of this pack right here. And yeah, those are pretty much my final thoughts. What's the rating I want to give the soft pack Chunghwas, though? 4 out of 4. 9.75 out of 10. I'm just going to give it a straight 9 out of 10, in all honesty. My only thing about them is that they just smoke too fast for my personal preference. They are really high quality cigarettes. They are very much to my personal preference in every way, in strength, in quality, in flavor depth. They're to my preference in every way other than in how fast they smoke. And due to that, they're going to be getting a 9 out of 10. That's just my American perspective, of course. How fast the Chunghwa smokes, the Chunghwa cigarette smoke might be considered normal, depending on where you're from and stuff like that kind of thing. But for me, they've got to be getting a 9 out of 10 just because they do smoke a little bit fast for my personal preference. But nonetheless, a 4 out of 4 / a 9 out of 10 is still an amazing rating that I do not give very often. A 9 out of 10. That is definitely, without a doubt, a very deserving rating for this pack of cigarettes right here. And when I say that I was legitimately tempted to give this pack a 10 out of 10, I really do mean it. I couldn't quite warrant it, but I was tempted. A 9 out of 10 for this pack of cigarettes. Absolutely no complaints on my behalf, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video today. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video, of course, make sure to like and subscribe. I have everything that y'all might want to check out in the description down below. Appreciate y'all watching today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what y'all think of Chunghwa cigarettes if you guys have tried them before. Until the next one, stay safe in peace and have a great one.